Thank you for joining me on another Novel Escape. My name is Trevon Grant, and this is a book review on... What book am I reviewing? Wall of Storms by Ken Liu. Now, this book is really good. And of course, if you watched my review from yesterday, or my previous video, you would have seen my crazy praise on his previous book, where the main characters were Kunigaru and Mata Zindu, right? So now we are actually into the reign of Kunigaru, and it's his kid's turn, right? This is the book about his children, which my children are eating dinner right next to me and making a whole bunch of noise. So just ignore them. So this book actually follows more or less the children's walk into this situation. Now, as opposed to there being a tyrant king, Kunigaru is king, right? And so if you haven't read the previous book, there's probably going to be spoilers, inadvertent spoilers, because this is the second book, so you might want to read the first book before you come into this review, right? But this book is actually Kunigaru is king and has been king for I think about 10 or 12 years. Things have been going fairly well, but there's still loyalties to Mata Zindu. There's people who worship Mata Zindu as though he is a god, as though he is... Hey! Now there's still people who are devoted to Mata Zindu, who remember the legends of Mata Zindu and his legendary fights and all the amazing things he used to do. He seems like a superhero. He seems like a god in the eyes of the people still. All right, so that becomes one level of contention throughout the book, where people are using his name as Mata Zindu to rise up and to challenge Kunigaru because they might not agree. And we follow, you know, in Ken Liu style, how he builds up these characters, he sets them up. He takes a lot of time in this book, not as long as the previous one. He probably takes like 30% of the time to tell you about each character, who they are, and he builds up their desires in your mind so that you know why they're doing the things that they are doing. And he takes a good amount of time to do it. And I think he structures this book a little bit different because he uses a lot more flashbacks in order to tell the story, instead of piling all the backstory at the beginning of the book, right? Instead of piling all that backstory at the beginning, he puts it into flashbacks and takes you back. So again, the book kind of goes in waves a little bit. You know, you have some action, you have some plots, you have some of this, and then it slows down and goes into a flashback, and it gives you a backstory. So therefore, you still have that emotional connection to the book, but it flows a lot nicer, it flows a lot easier than the first book. So I think that is one of the main upsides to this book over the other one, where the other book kind of ramps up. The other book kind of ramps up and kind of takes off towards the middle to end, or the 60%, 70% mark. This book kind of goes again more in waves. All right, so but this book was, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was really good, and so I would give it, I don't know, I think a lot of reviewers, I've seen reviews on this book, which is the reason why I got into it to begin with, and they would classify this book as probably a perfect book and probably better than the first. I will put it at a 4.5 out of 5 stars, where the first book I placed at a 4.7. Even though the first book was slower, the first book was definitely slower, I felt like I gelled more with the first book than the second book. I felt like Ken included a few popular thoughts into the book to make it more, I don't know the reason why he does it. So either way, this is again another review on The Wall of Storms by Ken Liu. Very good book. It's definitely a must read on the list while you're in-house, quarantined, and being driven crazy by your children. Alright, so thank you so much for joining me on another Novel Escape. Have a wonderful evening or day. Peace.